I thank my colleagues from Denver for sponsoring this resolution to honor Martin Luther King. It's an important resolution that we do every year, and it's important because it gives us an opportunity to reflect back on the, I consider, most singularly inspirational orator of our generation. In this chamber where we are led by words, which are the currency of the day, Dr. King really captured the imagination of millions of people who were marginalized and excluded from the American dream. People of color, despite the Declaration of Independence, were denied fundamental rights and opportunities. But Martin Luther King articulated the pain of millions of poor and the agony of the dispossessed. He became the conscience of our nation. He inspired millions of young idealists and old idealists, I would suggest. And his iconic words resonate with us today. When I was in Atlanta, I went to the Ebenezer Baptist Church and to the King Museum and bought a book which contained, in addition to the letter from a Birmingham jail, a number of the iconic quotes of Dr. King. And amongst them, I want to recite a few to you today. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. He then said, the time is always right to do what is right. Another, in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. In his letter from a Birmingham jail, he said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality tied to a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects us all. I think it's uniquely important in this time, at this moment, that we remember the words of Dr. King. In 1963, he said, with a tremendous metaphor, we refuse to believe that the bank of justice is bankrupt. So I want us to stop and think for a few minutes about the bank of justice. Because whether we realize it or not, we are all custodians of the national account in the bank of justice. We may be tempted to view the bank of justice as a savings account, one into which the progress of history moves towards greater equality, increasing the amount, and our progress in sweeping away the ugly vestiges of terrible chapters of our past increase our balance. And thus we make regular deposits and build up the balance in the positive direction. But recent history illustrates that we don't have the luxury of always taking this view. The balance in the bank of justice goes both ways. Statements of racial divisiveness write checks out of the bank of justice for narrow partisan gain, scapegoating communities of immigrants who work and pay taxes and support their families and pursue the same American dream that our own ancestors did, write checks out of the bank of justice. Engaging in loose talk of violence towards a person, a community, or even an entire nation has consequences, and to do that is to write checks out of the bank of justice. Referring to the homelands of our neighbors in derogatory terms draws down the account. Referring to Nazis, white supremacists, and xenophobes on equal terms as defenders of civil rights diminishes the account of the bank of justice. We need to take our role as custodians of truth and justice seriously. We must make deposits into the bank of justice. We make deposits when we promote equal opportunity and social justice, when we pass laws to reduce mass incarceration, to utilize restorative justice, and to rebuild communities, when we eliminate racial disparities in our schools, when we stand up to slurs against women, against LGBTQ people, against immigrants. We do that when we make laws at the Capitol, the laws that we make here, fair for everyone, not just for some or the privileged few, is how we make deposits to the Bank of Justice. In the words of Dr. King, 1963, we refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vault of opportunity of this nation. So we should refuse to believe that too, and we should do more than that. We should actively contribute to the Bank of Justice every day. We must honor Dr. King by actively contributing to the vaults of opportunity by the actions that we take in this Capitol. Thank you for bringing this resolution. I stand in strong solidarity